So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another brand new episode of Is It That Bad, where we take a look at albums sometimes that have had bad reviews. Sometimes we talk about older albums, but this album just came out today. And I picked this album because the last album that this band put out was, in my opinion, their worst album. Let the good times roll. So I'm
Bad
talking
Let the
times.
about
bad times roll.
Bad times.
let the bad times roll. Yeah. So I'm talking about the new album by The Offspring, their 11th album, and it's called Supercharged. And when I saw this album cover, it's like if it's like the cover of Smash and Ride the
Yeah.
Lightning had a baby.
It kind of reminds me of
Yeah.
Does anyone remember Van Weezer by Weezer?
Yes, that's exactly
yeah.
it.
It kind of looks a bit like that
Lightning.
Weezer album, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although
So
that
this
album
is-
was much better than this.
Yeah.
for sure.
I enjoyed Let the Bad Times Roll, that album cover, the sugar skull paint on the girl's
Yeah,
face, and
yeah.
the Jolly Roger. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I don't think that Van Weezer album is anything to brag home about either, but yeah.
Oh, no.
So
It's not their best, but I would go back to it before
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So this album, this is their 11th album. Again, it's produced by Bob Rock, who produced
Yay.
the
The
last
Motley
EP
Crue
by
EP.
Motley Crue.
He also produced a bunch of different bands like Early Peace and Metallica. Yeah.
Yes.
Moffats.
Yeah, the Black Album, anyone? So yeah,
And
this
this was
is
Gravity by Early Peace.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, and
mm.
this album is 10 tracks, 32 minutes in left, so it's a short affair. And right now on the band, you have Dexter Holland and Noodles, who are like the two founding members. This is the first album to feature a brand new drummer.
Brandon
and-
Pertzborn is his name. He played for Marilyn Manson.
Yes, now he
I
plays
think
for the
Josh
Offspring.
Freese also played on half the songs on here.
Yes, Josh Freese too, and they
Hmm.
have the bassist Todd Morse. So it's basically
And they have a new
it's-
multi-instrumentalist now, too. It's Jonah Nimoy. He's the grandson of Leonard Nimoy.
Oh,
The
okay.
I can't do the hand thing.
I can live long and prosper.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So so you know the drill. We do the 3 rounds. The first rounds we give our first impressions of when we listen to this
Nimoy.
today, except Chile, who listened to it yesterday, since he's in Australia in the future. And we'll second round we'll pick 3 tracks that maybe we think are the weakest. And then the third and final round, we give our last rating. Maybe we defend if we like stuff from the album, we give it a thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. So this is a big panel today, 6 people. So we're going to start. It's going to be, we're going to do Shirley, Nick, then JC, Robert, Rock of All Ages, then me. We'll do it that way. So Shirley, your first impressions listening to the Offspring's Supercharged.
Well, just like Hector has said, yes, I am a man from the future. I know what I am all about. Yeah, I've had access to this album for a bit over 24 hours now. So I've listened to it quite a few times in a row. And I mean, look, coming from The Offspring and the history that I've had with this band, I'm so glad to be part of this panel, by the way, because I've been a fan for nearly 25 years, back when I heard Original Prankster for the first time and bought that album, but listening to The Offspring's last record, of course, like The Bad Times Roll, was just shocking. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh my God, what are the band doing? How can we, dig our way up from here? And then, of course, the first couple of singles come out and they're very hit and miss, which obviously we'll be discussing probably in the next parts, I imagine, for a few people. So I was a bit worried. I was thinking, oh crap, this is going to be exactly like the last efforts. But the number one thing I was hoping was the production. Would it improve or not? Because that last album sounded absolutely terrible. So coming into this record, I'm listening to it. Production actually doesn't sound too bad. It's nothing to write home about. And as far as the album went, it was short, which I actually really enjoyed. I prefer shorter Offspring albums. And I was a bit surprised by a few tracks. There were certainly some duds, but there certainly wasn't entirely as bad as I was anticipating. So, it was good and bad, I guess I could say. But of course, we'll
Good and
discuss the bad in the next section.
Nice. So what about you, Nick?
Well, I think 2024 has been a pretty solid year for the return of 90s pop punk. In 90s and 2000s, we had Green Day, Sum 41, Blink-182. Now we have Offspring. So it's been a good year if you're a fan of that genre of music, which I am, and I do enjoy the Offspring. Like, kind of like Chili, like grew up with their music. And for me, like going back to high school, like Smash and Ixnay on the Ombre were huge records for my friends when we were growing up in high school and starting to get into music. And then I remember like when Pretty Fly for a White Guy came out. I guess that was what, 99, 2000 when
Yeah.
that
That's
came
the one
out.
that Def Leppard sample at the beginning.
Yeah, there you go.
1998.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like that was the first time that they kind of jumped the shark a little bit and crossed the line into being a little bit cheeseball territory. And I thought this album, I thought it was going to be very much in that cheeseball kind of Offspring sound, but I was actually pretty surprised to find that a lot of it sounded more like old school Offspring. I thought there was a lot of really great kind of just pop punk stuff going on here. Some really heavy metal riffs, which I thought that Hector would enjoy. I thought there's a couple of songs here that have some pretty heavy guitars. I think Hector would be all over on this record. So I actually was pleasantly surprised by most of this. There is still some cheeseball stuff. I know we'll get into that, but I thought this was pretty fun. And yeah, to hear that Josh Freese is on it and the production, yeah, it is a little bit better than the last record. So I thought it was pretty cool overall.
Nice. So, JC, your thoughts?
Yes, I've been with this band since Smash, so I'm not a big punk rock guy, but there's pretty much like two punk bands I listen to, which are Green Day and Offspring. So they actually both released albums this year, like Nick was saying. So that was pretty good. It's kind of a mixed album for me. There's like some stuff I like, some stuff I like really don't like, but I think they kind of like they mixed it up. Like they kind of like did all like their different styles. You hear some stuff that sounds like their earlier stuff. Some stuff just sounds something like stuff they've like never done before, and other stuff sounds very like pop punk. They're very 2000s. So for me, it's like very mixed. But I think it was I think on my first listen, I didn't like it. And then on my second listen, I started to get into it a little bit more. I think it's also like with the way the album is structured. I think the first of all, the singles weren't really like the best songs, which kind of like lets you know what I'm going to pick in the next round. But the singles weren't that great, but like the second half, it's a lot stronger. So I'll leave it at that, and then we'll talk about that in the next rounds. Yeah.
Nice. So, what about you, Robert?
Well, I had to listen to it last night as soon as it was put onto YouTube, the full album. And the album cover, the lightning hitting the skeleton is really crazy. They changed up the logo on the cover now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of looks a bit like an older logo of Green Day from one of their early albums. I think it might have been from Dookie from 1994. That sort of era. The logo.
Yeah, I think the logo.
And then of course Make It All Right, which came out this past summer, sounded like a knockoff of Blink-182. Light It Up was abysmal, unlistenable single. Conde Brazil, I thought was decent. I can see
actually
Conde
enjoy Light It
Brazil
Up.
becoming a concert staple for the future. Yeah. And I haven't seen the Offspring live yet. I hope they come back to Canada probably in the spring of next year. But I know that they have some. They are working on plans right now for next year, and with South America in March, and they're going to Japan in April. So they might squeeze Canada for the month of May or June or
Are
something.
they coming to Brazil?
Oh yes, they are in March.
Yeah. If you sing
I would
Come
hope so.
to Canada, it doesn't have that same ring.
No, it doesn't.
No. Like
And,
you love the winter,
but
you love the cold.
I mean, as for the Offspring, I've been listening to them for a while. I mean, first album I bought for them in terms of when it first came out was Rise and Fall, Rage and Grace, their 2008 album, the one with You Gonna Go Far Kid. It has the angel bound in chains with arrows in her chest on the cover. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's one of the best album covers they did, but they didn't release anything. I enjoyed the last record, but the album prior to that, Days Go By, I did not enjoy Days Go By in 2012. It was not
Interesting.
good.
Okay.
Well, it was. Are you saying that you enjoyed Days Go By less than Let the Bad Times Roll?
Days Go By is just cringy. California Cruising is just stupid lyrics on there. Yeah.
Yeah, but what
And
about We
then you
Never
got-
Had Sex Anymore? That was just pure.
Yeah,
and,
that was just atrocious.
and my favorite song in Let the Bad Times Roll is the one with that sample at the beginning of that is
Oh yeah.
from the Looney Tunes
Sunshine,
cartoon.
yeah.
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 Nice.
Not
So
bad.
it's good. Robert always has energy. So now, Rock of Ages, you have to follow that.
I'm not even going to try.
Your first thoughts on this one?
So my history with the Offspring, not very interesting. Obviously, I was a little baby when they were, putting out Smash and Ixnay on the Hombre and Americana, but I still hear their hits on my local radio stations. I still hear Self-Esteem, Keep 'Em Separated, Pretty Fly for a White Guy, and I've heard Make It All Right a couple of times already. So my first impression of this new album, Supercharged, what is going on with Dexter's voice? Is it just me, or is the vocal production on this album just really strange? Just really
I
off?
don't know, man. I think it could be a similar issue with what happened with Taking Back Sunday when they put out their latest album. The vocals sound pretty shot.
So like just as an example with Make It All Right, the female voice on the song, who's some Canadian voice actress, at first I thought it was an AI generated voice, but like no, this is a real person. She just delivers
She
the
sounds like
voice
Olivia
in a way, and
Rodrigo.
it just
That voice sounded a bit like Olivia Rodrigo, which is all I want to do is to fly away with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an Olivia Rodrigo lyric. I'll give it that. But
Oh.
yeah, the album just musically, it sounds pretty good. But something is going on with Dexter's voice.
I think it sounds shot.
Probably.
Yeah, probably post-production stuff.
Yeah, he used to be one of my. If you listen to the '90s album, that's something that they stood out. Like Dexter's vocals, he had great vocals on it. So, yeah,
Woe on the woes.
So I go. My history with the Offspring is since the '90s. The first album I bought was Smash, but do not sleep on the first two albums, especially Ignition. Ignition was fucking great, and Ixnay on the Hombre. I thought it was a very great follow-up to Smash. I still love a lot of tracks from it. And Americana, yes,
Oh yeah.
I have it and I like it. But yeah, they did. There were some. That's where the corniness started, because then and the other albums they already have like that like that song that tried to be like I was
Why don't
watching
you get a
today.
job?
Yeah, that one and
Oblada.
obviously Pretty Fly for a White Guy. But Americana has some
Yeah.
great tracks too, like Staring at the Sun. There's some
Yeah.
great rocking track. The kids aren't all right, so
Yeah.
it's not
Oh
about
yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
And
and
Americana.
I think it's nostalgia too. But then
100%.
after that, they started like putting like goofy songs on each album. And I was watching an interview today about them, and back at that time, they had serious songs and goofy ones, and the producer told them like, you guys are like a punk band, but you can also do pop. And when you mix both, that's why they were so popular, because that's what they did. The first albums, though, Ignition, Smash are very punk. In Ixnay on the Hombre, they had some tongue-in-cheek songs, but they were great. Like, for example, the song Mota. I love that song. And so, yeah, so
Me
I've
and
been
my
a
old
fan. The last album that I truly enjoyed from them was Splinter, even though that Rise and Fall from 2008,
Is that the
now
one with
that I
the
remember it,
statue crumbling on the cover?
yeah,
Yeah.
Splinter from 2003, yeah. And then they had the Rise and Fall. Days Go By, I didn't enjoy it quite as much, but the album from there that I freaking hate was that Let the Bad Times Roll. That album was atrociously bad. The production, the music,
The
everything. It
piano
was-
cover of Gone Away.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck
oh,
that.
it was
Yeah,
so
That
yeah,
My Favorite Death
unnecessary.
Punch cover gone away. That cover sucks.
Yeah, and you know they
Why
have
did
gone
they make
away.
it? Why did they make it sound like the Five Finger Death Punch cover?
I don't know, and you know why
Yeah,
they have been
seriously.
out. Yeah, they
That
have
cover
been
should have
out
been thrown
9
away.
years. Yeah, so they have been gone 9 years because Dexter Holland was finishing his PhD in molecular biology.
Oh,
And then
good
the
for him.
virus hit, COVID hit.
Yeah, so to me, Let the Bad Times Roll was a band that was, they were like maybe crusty. They hadn't released an album in a long time, and it showed. So going now to Supercharge, the singles, I actually enjoyed Light It Up. Come to Brazil. Yeah, I'll talk
I
about that
remember you
song
saying
later.
that was like the worst song you ever heard.
You know, musically, there's some great riffing on it, but then they just
They do the ole,
do the
ole, ole, ole.
oh, and yeah.
Well,
And I did a short on that one, and people were saying you're just jealous that you're not in Brazil. And I'm like, well, if they say come to Puerto Rico, I say it would sound crappy as well. But
People aren't saying
but
that in comment sections and social media. Everybody's saying come to Brazil. Nobody's saying come to Puerto Rico, right? So
yeah, we need to
yeah,
hashtag
that's
come to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Get that
no
movement rolling.
come to Brazil it rolls out of your tongue. So yeah, but actually, what I was listening to is today. I was pleasantly surprised too. I thought there's some tracks that I really enjoyed that I thought harken more to their older stuff. And I thought even though there was some cheese, there was less cheese than in the past, in my opinion. So
Mm.
to me, yeah, I have some mixed feelings with the album, but I thought I was going to hate it more. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts. So let's go to round two, where we're gonna pick 3 songs. So Chili, what 3 songs did you pick and why?
So let's start off with number one, eh? So make it all right. Damn it, I cringed again. Like,
Batman.
na cringe. All right, yeah. What? What a terrible first single to like just jump your new album with. It's. I don't even know what the fuck the band are doing at this point. This is the biggest warning sign to me that was saying, okay, this is going to be another train wreck. This is going to be an awful record, and I'm going to continue, like you, Hector, was saying, that I'm going to continue hating the Offspring because they just seem to be doing just terrible songs. When I first heard this, my butthole started to pucker up. It was doing like these things, I just did not like it, and I did not like the future of the band and where they were heading. I mean, I thought the bad times had rolled on, but they seem to keep on coming with this song. And it's easily the weakest track on this record to choose as the first single from the album. And I
Yeah.
bet this was Bob Rock's choice because that guy's a fucking idiot these days. Like, he just cannot write or produce, sorry, a record to save him these days. I mean, hell, we haven't mentioned it yet, but a week ago we did the Motley Crue EP, and he was the producer for that record too. So it's interesting to have 2 weeks with the same producer in the credits there. All right. But yeah, like an interesting fact, the lady's voice that we hear during the song singing All I Want to Do Is Fly Away With You, that was Rebecca Showshit. I'm going to probably mispronounce that. And
Shortcut or
Shoy
something?
I remember her
Shoshisha. Anyway,
name.
Rebecca Shisha, we'll call her that.
Joykin.
Your fans would recognize her talents from the TV series of My Little Pony. Yes, that is where she's from.
What voice does
So
she do?
I
She
don't fucking
is
know. I don't.
Twilight Sparkle?
Oh,
Oh
my
my
favorite.
God.
Yeah.
I watched that with my kids.
Now you're never going to see her the same way.
She
No,
also does a
never.
lot of anime dubs.
She does a few. I think it's like mostly background characters or something. I had a brief look. I didn't entirely jump down that rabbit hole. The next one I'm going to pick, and I think I'm going to make a statement here. I reckon everyone's going to pick this one, is Come to Brazil. I know the Offspring like to make a joke, and this is a little bit different because this is a song based off a meme. This is Come to Brazil is a meme. It's a whole movement of just making comments somewhere, just going, come to Brazil, come to Brazil. So
Yeah.
to write a whole song entirely off a picture meme is just ridiculous. Now, every time I see Brazil, all I'm going to do is be hearing that shitty song in my head. And thank you for ruining the country's image for me, Dexter, for that purpose. You know, the big Jesus statue needs a hug after all this is going to be said and done, because
Oh,
there's
that's the
not
Christ the
enough.
Redeemer one. Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
Christ the
that's it.
Redeemer.
Good old Christ the Redeemer. There are not enough trees in the Amazon to feed to feed me the oxygen I need to regenerate my brain dead status after listening to this track.
Right.
At this point, I just feel like the secondhand embarrassment for Brazilians. So, sorry, Brazil. I won't be
I
coming
just see
to
the
you anytime.
comments. They're gonna say
Yeah.
that Australian guy just hates that they're not coming to Australia.
Oh, that's exactly right. You know, we prefer
Chile, I think
deserts in
the Offspring
Australia.
were supposed to come to Australia a few years ago, and then COVID struck, and that tour got canceled.
They
This was
came
Sum
out only
41
last
too.
year. They came out last year with Sum 41. I missed that concert. I really am
Yeah.
kicking myself.
They didn't go with Rancid for reasons we already know.
But yeah, the main kicker, of course, is that ole, 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 ole. That
Oh
is
my
the
God,
cherry.
that's the cherry on top.
Yeah. That is the cherry on top of this steaming pile of excrement when it comes to this track. So the last track that I'm going to mention is Okay, But This Is the Last Time. And it's
Sounds
such
like
a
a breakup
bass.
song.
It kind of is. It feels like it's on the cusp of going over that way, doesn't it? But it's such a basic bitch song. Is this meant to be a filler track? I'm not entirely sure. It sounds like Fall Out Boy during Safe Rock and Roll era, and I just don't really like
It
this song
sounds
at all
like
because
Christy, Are You Doing Okay from 2008's album.
This album feels too short to feel like it should have filler.
Exactly. This is the thing I'm confused about. It's like a 32-minute album, but it feels like this is a filler track, and I just don't like that. It doesn't sit well with me. The lyrics here, you know, put revenge aside, I'll say no and you'll say yes. Then I'll say, okay, but this is the last time. Wow. Mind-boggling there. Now I just want to make a final note here. The other lyric, there's a million things I'd rather do than to keep being stuck on you. Let's expand on that and give some options of what I would rather do rather than listen to this song. I would rather buy a Vanilla Ice CD over Ice Cube. I would rather spend 18 in life in Chino. I would rather date a girl with emotional baggage. I would rather wake up with the worst hangover ever. I would rather go to Brazil. I would rather ride a dinghy through Florida at the moment. I would rather...
Oh, no, too soon, man, too soon.
Too soon? Too soon? I'm going to
They
get
just
late
had
on
a
this
really bad
one.
hurricane a couple of days ago.
I would never go to Florida even without the hurricanes.
I used to live in Miami, so I'm glad I'm no longer there.
Oh, man. I meant to ask you about how that was going up there because, damn, that weather.
What are the Cubans like?
They think they're better than everyone, but that's another subject for another video.
Yeah, we know the Puerto Ricans are the number one. Come on, man. I would rather listen to Let the Bad Times Roll Again than listen to Okay, But This Is the Last Time.
Really?
I would rather listen to the Motley Crue cancelled EP again than Okay, But This Is the
No,
Last
I don't
Time.
want to listen to that Motley Crue EP again.
Okay, this is the last time. Please, please, please change this shit up because at the end of the day, it feels like the band is getting a bit stale.
Okay. So
And that's my
thank you
story.
for speaking your mind, Chili. What about you, Nick?
Well, for me, the first track that kind of struck me was the first song in the album. Like we're saying, this album has a lot of the old school Offspring sound. Well, the first song, "Looking Out for Number One," is very much of that new school Offspring sound. With I don't know who's doing that. Looking out for number one. I don't
I
know
think
who's,
it's Redman from Original Prankster.
Is it?
The rapper?
No.
The only
Yeah.
track that has the title like "Looking Out for Number One" that's good is the one from BTO.
Yes. That's not a bad song, yeah. But this one is not good. Yeah, although the production was cool, there was like some piano in there. I didn't expect to hear the piano twinkling in an Offspring song of all places. But to me, this was like them trying to recapture a little bit of that pretty fly for a white guy kind of energy, which has never been my favorite side of the Offspring. So looking out for number one is my least one of my least favorite songs on here. And then agree with Chili on Okay, But This Is the Last Time. And then Rock of All Ages talking about how like Dexter's voice sounds weird on this record. And the thing about him is that this is a little bit of a softer song. Like I wouldn't necessarily call it a rock ballad, but it's kind of in that softer vein. But Dexter Holland's voice, like he's always shouting. His voice is so loud all the time that even on like when they go a little bit softer, this song just is it's way too abrasive for me. Although it did kind of remind me of a little bit like a Blink 182 song. Like I could have pictured Tom DeLonge and Mark Hoppus singing this song, especially in the chorus. So I got a little bit of a Blink 182 vibe on that one. And then, yeah, kind of agreeing with everybody about Come to Brazil. I got a little bit of a kick out of it. Like we're saying the meme status of it and how it's kind of become a little bit of a joke of seeing that in every single comment section for every single band on Instagram or anywhere else on social media. But the thing about this record, and I think even with this song, is that like there's a lot of cool guitar parts happening on here. I thought that maybe this would have been a little bit of a hit with some of the people on the panel because it's like
just the lyrics.
So it's good. The guitars are kind of cool. They're pretty gnarly. There's some cool big guitar solos in there. So we're all big rock fans. So I thought maybe we'd all dig into that a little bit. But that definitely to me is one of the worst songs on the record for sure.
Nice. So, JC, what are your free tracks?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick three, and they're from the first like half. They're actually like in a row. First one's gonna be The Fall Guy. It sounded too pop punk for me. It sounded very basic. It was a lot of those like whoa-whoas, and I know they do that a lot, but I just found it kind of boring. And I was reading comments. A lot of people were saying it sounded like a song called Army of One, which was on the previous album, I believe. So that's my first one. My second one is the Make It All Right. That was the first single. Another one, it just sounds like pop punk. And that girl voice, I didn't know it's a real person. I like Rockavoli just said, I thought it was like an AI voice. So that's kind of what it sounded like. And it seems like out of place. It just seems like they didn't really put a lot of like thought into this song. It seems like they kind of just like put it together. It doesn't really sound like them. And it wasn't a good choice for a single. I could pick so many other songs that should have been singles. So that's my second one. My third one is going to be Okay, but This Is the Last Time. This one, it's just another one. Sounds like pop punk. It's over polished. It just has that modern pop sound. And I thought the lyrics were similar to like Self-Esteem. And I know they've done that concept, like pretty much like almost every album has a song with that type of concept, but I kind of interpreted it kind of like another version of Self-Esteem, but it just sounds kind of out of place. Like it doesn't really sound like it fits on this album. So that's all. Those are my three, and I'm gonna say actually like Come to Brazil, and I'll comment on that later. But I know everyone's picking that one. I like that song, but probably because of metal. But I'll mention it later. So that's it. Those are my three.
Okay. So, what about you, Robert?
Well, first song we're gonna pick is the second single, Light It Up. And hearing that, it sounded like a knockoff. This sounds like a poor man's version of Sinister Rouge by Bad Religion. From their 2004 record. Yeah. I can definitely see that sort of thing, like Sinister Rouge, which I like Sinister Rouge. It's a good song. And, but Light Up, horrendous. Not a good single. Of course, I'm going to go with Okay, but This Is the Last Time. This could have been an Avril Lavigne song because of the lyrics and everything. Yeah. And then you got, but the lyrics on that are stupid. Yeah. And last one, it's going to not be a single. It's going to be Hanging by a Thread.
Okay.
The second to last song in the record. Oh my God. This sounds like a ripoff of Green Day. Yeah. Sounds like something you would hear on Insomniac or Dookie or something like that. Yeah. Or even Nimrod to an extent. Mm-hmm. And then you got, and of course, what really hurt the most hearing this was Dexter Holland's vocals on there. His vocals sound completely shot on this album. I get that the guy is in his late 50s, for that matter, so he is getting old. So when they play live, a lot of the older stuff is half step down. which I've seen footage of.
Hmm.
What I
Yeah, I saw
don't
the live
get
footage
is
where
that
he
the
was, like,
fact that
singing
he
way
sounds
lower,
almost as
yeah.
bad as Adam Lazara of Taking Back Sunday. Which have you heard the last record Taking Back Sunday? Which I saw
Oh
like a
yeah,
video
Chili,
on that,
Yeah,
and
Chili
somebody
tore it
said
apart.
that Adam Lazara's voice is shot. Yeah.
I saw Taking Back Sunday last year. I don't remember them sounding like that.
And I saw somebody talk about it. It was Steven Nader 73. He has a channel on there. He does like reviews and he'll do like out end of the year list stuff too. And what broke his heart hearing that last segment, I think, was Adam's vocals. Adam's voice is shot. It's from all the. It's because Adam was Adam, obviously, when he's out on the road, he's often drinking and smoking cigarettes out there, which has caused his voice to be shot. Yeah.
But at least he had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least he had fun. Like we did in the 90s. Me and JC know what we're talking about. We're the 90s, the 90s guys.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
2000s person.
Number 2000s, we didn't have fun.
Once the
You
internet
guys
came around,
were,
it was all over.
you guys
Yeah,
were
it was a
born in the
boring
crappy
place.
era. I'm sorry for you
Oh, here
guys.
we go.
Late 90s for me, 1996. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
man.
what about you, Rock of Ages? What free tracks did you pick?
Well, before I list them, I'm shocked no one brought up the song where out of nowhere they just played the riff from Carry On Wayward Son. Get
What
some?
is
I had a
it?
riff.
Oh, Get Some. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
Good song.
completely out of nowhere they go do 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 do, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Why?
I think it sounds more like Bon Jovi, their new song Living Proof from the new
And
album.
also, the song opens in a way that kind of sounds like Stone Cold Crazy by Queen.
Oh yeah, I love
Yeah.
Stone Cold Crazy.
Yeah, that's a great song. But I did not pick Get Some for my bottom three. I unfortunately picked what turned out to be a pretty basic bottom three. That being Okay, This Is the Last Time, Come to Brazil, and then my least favorite track, Looking Out for Number One. I feel I don't have much to add that hasn't been said already, other than, to add to Robert's point, Dexter just sounds really bad on this album.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I guess that leaves me. Make It With You, I think it's an atrocious selection for a single. It's just bad. I hate the Nana. And when she goes, all I
Wait,
want
what
to
did you
do
call
is
it?
Make it all right. He said make it
Queens
with
of the
you.
Stone
Make
Make
it all right.
Make It All Right. Oh, Make It With You is a
What
Queens
the
of the
hell?
Stone
I
Age.
want to make it.
That's
Oh,
Queens of the Stone Age.
a better
I
band.
Oh,
wanna
yeah,
make
Josh's
it
ex-wife
with
was
Way better
there.
song.
Doing backup
Oh, the
vocals.
comments are gonna be like, well, make it all right.
You made
Whatever.
a
Do
You know
your
what?
research.
All I wanna do is turn this off and go with you. Yeah, it's just a bad song.
I would rather listen to songs for the deaf over this. That's a much better album.
I'd rather
Yeah,
listen to
yeah,
Low
that was
Voice
Arrow
and Paralyzed
Vulgaris.
over that.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was a very bad track. And I would say the okay, what's the song? Okay, but this is the
Okay,
last
but this is
time.
the last time.
It sounded too
Yeah, this is the last
syrupy,
time.
and it reminded me of that song from 2008, like Christy, Are You Doing Okay? But that one was a better
Oh,
constructed song. At least I remember that being a better song than this one. So it was too sugary. And surprisingly, I would, Come to Brazil. There's a cool metal riff that it has on the track, but then the song is just so blatantly stupid. And I hate the last part where you go like ole 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 ole. That's I think that's what made to me like lose all faith because it just felt like clickbait for Brazil. I'm like, yes, people in Brazil will go ape shit for this song, but nowhere else.
Pretty much any country in South America does that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and in Puerto Rico too. In when they have concerts here, they do that ole ole ole, but they do it to Maná. And I challenge you, Robert, to listen to some Maná.
I just
I know about their drummer. He's the most interviewed out of everything there. It's Alex Gonzalez.
He's a great drummer. He's too good for Maná. he's in a metal band called De La Tierra too. He's a great drummer.
Oh yeah,
Banana
he
Sauce, yeah.
designed some symbols for that project. Huh?
Ah,
In the
yes,
Brood series line from Peisty, the
yes.
Basher, Shred Bell, and Blast China 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mentioned in the
yeah,
Corn episode, I recently saw Sepultura, so Brazilians can
Ah.
go heavy.
yes, they
I saw
can.
Sepultura open for Testament back in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah,
Very
those
cool.
are my free tracks. Because yeah, make it with you, make it all right.
He
Come
did
to
it
Brazil,
again.
and okay, let me
Okay, this is the last time.
yeah, yeah, whatever the name of that crappy song.
The
So
fifth
now
track
we're
from the
going
album.
to the third and final round where we give our final thoughts and we rate it thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. Shili, your last thoughts on this one?
This has been a very confusing time for pop punk. Well, we mentioned obviously there's been a fair few bands that have come out and released these records from our era. Blink-182 and Sum 41 are the two examples that we just mentioned. And obviously now with the Offspring, we're also approaching a point where there are a lot of pop punk bands or punk bands that are also retiring. NoFX just recently played their very last show,
Oh
unfortunately.
yeah, I heard about that
and
this past Sunday.
yeah,
Mhm.
just less than a week ago, and it breaks my heart to hear of NoFX just retiring. I've seen them probably 8 or 9 times. They're fucking incredible,
Never got to see them.
and
Me neither.
oh, just amazing. Actually, it was an interesting headline that Fat Mike made when he kicked one of the fans in the head in Australia. I was at
Oh,
that
that was 10
concert.
years ago. It happened in Sydney. It happened during the song
Yeah,
Linoleum. He just elbowed the
yeah,
guy to the ground and just kicked him in the
yeah,
face.
yeah. I was at that concert. I
Did
was
this turn
probably
into a
about
Lamb of God incident?
no.
Thank God it did. No, it did not. Because when
But
that
yeah,
incident happened, though, the Lamb of God one,
he
that kid died.
Yeah.
did he? Shit.
Yeah.
God
I think
damn.
Randy Blythe was charged with manslaughter.
Randy. But he was found not responsible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I've
anyway,
seen
no
Randy
let's
three
get
effects.
times. The
back
Lamb
to
of
the
God. He's
Offspring.
incredible. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get back to the Offspring. So yeah, no effects retires. It's unfortunate. Sum 41 is retiring. I'm going to be seeing them in a few months' time. And the Offspring question mark. Do they want to retire? Do they want to continue going on? Do I feel like they should be retiring? I kind of feel like they're getting to that point. I mean, they're not young. They're not writing young people's music, even though I guess this feels more polished and definitely more reserved compared to their previous efforts that we could hear during the 90s. It's still a good album, like compared to obviously the previous one, which set the bar so goddamn low, it just went through the bloody floor to China almost. There are still some great songs on here. Like I thought, "Light It Up" and "The Fall Guy" was great.
Yeah,
These two tracks were I thought really good. "Truth in Fiction" was really good and went
that's my
hard.
That one's
favorite.
my favorite.
Yeah, like
Great
that is an
song.
amazing
Yeah,
song right there. And I think it was Get Some possibly. I can't remember, but there's like at least a good solid 4, maybe 5 tracks here that are really pretty good. I don't know if I'd add them to a playlist, but the other question again is where would this like sit? Would I come back to this album, I guess? And the answer's kind of like, not really. I don't think the good tracks are that redeeming of it, but I'm not going to give it a thumbs down, but I can't give it a thumbs up, so sideways.
come sideways. Nice.
I did see
So,
Sum 41 on their farewell tour this year. They are phenomenal.
oh yeah, they're going out
I
on
can't
top.
wait.
And they're
Yeah.
coming
So
through my area in January.
Nice.
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 So
yeah.
Nick?
Nick.
Nick.
My turn. Okay. Offspring. Well, you know what? I enjoyed this album more than I thought I would. I think that's kind of a general consensus too, is that like with Offspring, they're never really to be taken too seriously. I think they've always been a little bit tongue in cheek, maybe not as tongue in cheek or as kind of jokey as Blink-182 or even something like Sum 41. But I really think this is just it's a fun pop punk record. Maybe not Offspring's best. It is album number 10 or 11.
11.
So
Yeah.
we're getting on there. Like, it's like that with any band. Like, when they get on in their years, they're kind of just appealing to their fan base. And I think that's where Offspring is right now. But I was watching an interview with Noodles and Dexter, and they were saying, the album's called Supercharged because they really just wanted to write a high energy, big guitar album. So I think it's mission accomplished on that front. I think they have produced a pretty high energy rock record, and I think it's pretty much on par with their output over the last decade or so. I think every album there's been maybe 2 or 3 songs that I take away that I like, and I think there's some really generic songs on here, but then I think there's some really good songs on here. Like you guys mentioned, Get Some. I think that's probably my favorite song on this record, and then some of the other ones as well.
Sounds like a knockoff of Hinder meets Bon Jovi.
That's a great
Hinder?
combination.
No, Dexter sings better than the guy from Hinder.
No, fuck him.
You mean Austin Winkler?
Yeah,
Definitely
Lips
better
from
than
an
Austin
Angel.
Winkler.
yeah, The Lips of an Angel, classic. But
I
and there's
like
some-
Getting Stoned. That's a good song.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah. Well, oh my God, Hinder. Oh man, they should be on your series, Hector. They should have been bigger.
Oh
That-
God.
Who?
Oh yes,
Hinder.
Hinder.
No.
Oh, yeah, next year's
no.
the 20th anniversary of Extreme Behavior, the debut from that band.
Yes,
No.
for sure. So, but yeah, this was I don't know. This was cool. Had some good guitar stuff on it. I enjoyed it. So I'll give it a some sideways.
2 from sideways. So, JC, your last thoughts and vote.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way. I thought I wasn't gonna like it. I think it has a stronger second half. I think for me, everything like after track number 6 is a pretty decent song. So I pretty much I think like the songs I mentioned, which were like the Fall Guy, Make It Alright, okay, but this is the last time. Those are the ones I didn't like. The first 2 songs not too bad. I think they're pretty much just typical, Offspring kind of sounds like Offspring doing what they do. The second one, Light It Up, wasn't bad either. Wasn't bad either. I thought it kind of sounded like a little bit like something from Smash. After that, I mentioned I come to Brazil. I think it's because they do this like heavy metal, thrash metal guitars. That's
They
what I
do,
liked
yeah.
about it. And I didn't mind that the end part. Truth and Fiction, that's a really good song, just straightforward, old school punk. I like that one. Get Some, very different. Just like the feedback in the beginning sounds, it's one of those songs where it kind of sounds like they're like sampling other songs because the first part sounds like Stone Cold Crazy, and then they play the Carry On My Wayward Son riff at like in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
But I like that. It's kind of like back in the day when old bands would just like sample like other bands and like throw it in the middle of the song. So I like that. And the last 2 songs, just a straightforward punk rock, Hanging On by a Thread. I thought that was just classic, like Smash era Offspring. There's a little bit like that Middle Eastern sound in one part of it. And the last song, pretty cool. I think it was kind of like a little bit of a mix of punk rock and some classic rock. I liked it. So I think there's good stuff. So it's not a down, but I think there are a couple songs that's going to keep it from like being a thumbs up. So I'm going to go the same way as everyone else's. I'm going sideways for this one.
3 sideways. So, what about you, Robert?
Well, unfortunately, I did not enjoy this one very much, aside from the song Come to Brazil. And Hanging by a Thread sounds like a knockoff of something you'd hear from Green Day. Light Up sounds like Sinister Rouge in a way. Get Some sounds like a mixture between Hinder and Bon Jovi. And Make It All Right sounds like a knockoff of Blink-182. Unfortunately, it's a thumbs down.
Okay. So we have 3 thumbs sideways, 1 thumbs down. What about you, Rockefeller Aegis?
Yeah, thinking about it, I enjoyed more of the songs on here than I didn't enjoy. Although it's not a great sign when I listened to Green Day's Dookie Demastered, and I enjoyed that more than this. Do you guys know about that, where they play all the songs in like really old pieces of media?
Yeah.
Like
No,
if they
no.
play Chump on a Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah.
What the? I want to hear that now.
It's so awesome.
What
It's
the
so
fuck?
stupid. Like, of course, Green Day would do this, and I
Yeah.
enjoyed that more than this. Um,
Hmm.
Despite that, I think I am going to give it a sideways thumb. Like,
Sideways.
Hmm.
I'm not going to come back to it. Like, I would go back to Ixnay on the Ombre or Smash or Americana
Oh
even,
yeah.
but
I'd rather go back to
Ignition.
Smash or Let the Bad Times Roll or Rise and Fall Raging Grace.
Listen to Ignition. Ignition kicks ass.
sure.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
so so
Yeah,
we have
Ignition.
4 thumbs sideways, 1 down. So you know what? I'm actually saving this record with a thumb sideways because I thought I was gonna hate it. But there's some like Truth in Fiction is such
Yes.
a great track. I'm like, if all the tracks sounded like this would be like a thumbs up. Yeah, Dexter doesn't sound as great as he used to do, but I think he sounds better than Bon Jovi, who can't sing
Dude,
right now.
I enjoyed the new Bon Jovi album.
Dude, have
Oh,
you
I
It
seen
was
haven't
him
listened
playing
to
terrible.
it.
live? He
It was
can't
terrible.
sing. So, yeah, I
Haven't seen him
thought
in over
there's,
10 years, though.
dude, you said that a track sounded like Hinder. It doesn't sound like Hinder. Like Hinder wishes they sounded like the Offspring better. So,
Hinder don't even sound like Hinder.
no, oh my God, there's some atrocious tracks for Hinder. So I like that track. I like more of the end of the tracks. I thought Light It Up was a very good single. The first song, the Something for Number One, I enjoyed
Looking out
parts
for
of
number
that
one.
song. Looking out for number one.
Looking
The
up for
only thing
number
I didn't
one.
enjoy was when the voice looking out for number one. I'm fucking up all the titles today. Yeah, but I think there's I was the thing is the last album was so atrociously bad that the bar was so low that anything would have surpassed that. Do
Yeah.
I think this is in the same high quality of Smash, Ixnay on the Hombre, Ignition, or even Americana? Of course not. But it's also not their worst album. I think there's some decent stuff here. It's not like I'm going to replay it. It's not going to be in my albums of the year, but it's also not going to be in my top 10 worst albums of the year. I'm not going
It's
to
going to
have it
be
on
in
there.
my worst albums list.
Yeah, but I don't care. This is my channel. It's not going to be on mine. It's not going to be on mine.
Rob's giving away all the clues. He's dropping the hints.
Yeah, see, you're giving
And
it away,
spoiler,
man.
Marilyn Manson's not going to be good either.
Who? Who's not going to be good?
Marilyn
Marilyn
Manson.
Manson.
That
I'm
lead off
like,
single was so atrocious.
I've liked the free singles of Marilyn Manson. I think he's bringing his A game. I've loved the free singles, so that's
I'm
not
really
gonna be an
intrigued.
Is It That Bad episode either. I'm going
I
to
don't
do a
think
video
so.
with
But
Señorita Sabrosura.
I feel like he does have an album that would qualify for this series.
We had an album.
Exactly.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
had
Yeah, you guys
yeah.
already did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was called Make It With You.
No, the album was called High and Low, you guys.
Yeah, and we actually saved it too. I think we
Oh,
thought it
did,
wasn't that
yeah.
bad. Yeah.
Actually, this album
Yeah,
got a
because
race then. Hang on. We got everyone else sideways, and then there's a thumbs down.
And then Robert did a thumbs down.
yeah,
So
but
it's
Yeah, that was me.
It's gone.
no, it's not gone because it's not like does that mean I think we saved it?
That's all. That's
But-
0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then it's a -1. That's in the negative score. It's been erased.
No,
Yeah,
it's
and
hanging. It's hanging
the
by a
rules
thread.
just stop making sense to me.
I don't know.
I don't
Well,
know.
I don't think we thought it was. I think everyone thought it was better that it would be, except Robert.
Yeah.
But I know you were gonna vote thumbs down. You were already spoiling it on the comments. So but we want to know from you. So the Offspring, Supercharger. I don't. I don't think it's that. We don't think it's that bad, but it's also not their top material. So there you go. So we want to know from you, Couchers, what are your like least favorite tracks from this record? And I have a recommendation. If you want to listen to a great punk rock album that came out this year, listen to The Black Pacific, Here Comes Our Way, which I reviewed and nobody gave a shit.
Oh,
And that band features the singer from Pennywise. That's his other side project. That's a great punk rock album, SoCal, California. And only 23 people have seen that review. So that's a great album. So
what did you say the album was called? I'm gonna listen to it after
it's
this
called
recording.
The Black Pacific, Here Comes Our Wave.
All right.
And that's a great punk rock album. It does sound a lot like Pennywise because the lead singer from Pennywise is in this band. It's a great album. The first single is called I Think I'm Paranoid, and no, it's not a cover of Garbage for people out there. Great album. I recommend it. So I want to thank my panel, Chili from Live Listen Erased, for being here with us from the future.
Thank you.
Please subscribe to him if you feel inclined so. And of course, Nick Sino Music, subscribe to him as well if you wanna know when Oasis is playing, and I'm sure that he'll make a video when he goes see them. Like he's gonna tell you what seat he was on.
Yes.
Did it smell nice?
He's actually going to take the seat and keep it.
He's gonna tell you how long the bathroom lines
Can you
were.
imagine if we're watching the news?
How
it's
long?
like,
how much were the drinks? Yeah. How much
Canadian
Oh,
guy.
This
Canadian
isn't like
guy
Crime
gets
X3 or
arrested.
anything. He goes a lot of shows around New Jersey.
Yeah.
And obviously, JC Rock and Metal Reviews, he's got album reviews rankings. Subscribe to him. Robert has a channel
From Trolling in Paradise. Yep.
Yes, Trolling in Paradise. He
Thank you.
He's Robert. In his
And
channel.
we got Rockwell Ages as well.
Yeah, he does a great Beavis and Butthead impersonation.
Oh, yeah. I am Cornholio! Give me bunghole! That's the one.
But my bunghole.
Are you Frederick? I
Are you
haven't done
trying
that. I haven't done that voice like it since the 90s. So yeah, subscribe to his channel. And Rock of All
Doesn't
Ages,
listen to
you know,
Winger.
yeah, you gotta subscribe to his channel for the podcast stuff, and obviously my channel, album reviews. Is it that bad? And by popular demand, or basically it's because Robert sent me an email that we must do this. The next Is It That Bad before our final Is It That Bad this year is we're gonna do Methods of Mayhem.
Yes.
What's the name of that record?
It's their, I think it's their self-titled debut or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it has Snoop Dogg on the opening song. Kid Rock is on a song too.
Oh
You got
god.
Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit.
Oh,
Even
no.
I
worse.
just remembered the Get Naked song. So next week, we are going to revisit that gem from 1999.
I probably won't be available for the Methods of Mayhem episode. I might.
So you're not going to be for the one that you said that you wanted to do?
I suggested it. I won't be able to make it.
He's
But
like,
I'll vote
"I
ahead of
suggested
time."
it, but you
It's
listen
horrible.
to
Enjoy.
that crap. Smoke bomb. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, Robert won't be there, but some people will be there. So that's going to be next week. And the final Is It That Bad for this year, we're going to talk about Skillet.
Oh,
Revolution.
I need to be on this.
You can be
Hitler.
on both, Rock of All Ages. So
Yes.
until next time, Couchers, this is Hector, the shield dude on a couch. And please comment down below if you want to come to Brazil.